Welcome back. This will be the finished part of the Abbey. So now that we have the layer style out of the way, that is, it depends on who you ask, but I think it's one of the hardest things to do is to get the layer style to look how you want it to. The background then kind of falls into play, but it depends on what stocks you use, what style you're going for. So I'll show you just a little bit of how I'll do it. So this is what it's going to look like when we're done with it. As you saw in the thumbnail. So there's a lot of things going on, but it's only 4 stocks. So, and one of them is going to be in front for depth. So we'll start out by go ahead and download them. I'm sure you saw they were in the layer style tutorial assets from the previous video. You're going to download these 4 right here, and then we're going to import them in. So we're going to start out with this purple one. I picked this one because I figured it'd be a great addition for a background based on the ones we used previously. So I'm just going to move this over here. Control J to duplicate, move it back over here, and then I am going to take my eraser and make sure that it is a smooth transition. Now that we have that, I'm going to merge these together. And there's not much we can do about it to get like the black gone and stuff like that right now. So I mean, you can put it to screen, it's not going to matter. We're going to just use a hue and saturation to create the clipping mask, make it the color we want. And now what you're going to see is like it's a really bad quality, but that's not going to matter because we're going to put so much on top, and we're going to refine at the end, so it will fix itself. So I'm going to go to like right here, and then I'm going to turn it down a bit, because what we're trying to do is you can see it in the background slightly when you look around, but it's just going to make sure we have a base background. So now that we have that, we're going to add in the next one, and that is this one. Now this one's a rough one. This one, the quality is low, but I did like to have a white aspect in it, so we're going to make it slightly bigger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and put on screen, then go blending options, because I'm trying to get rid of this black mainly, and so I'm going to turn down the black a lot. Remember how in the last video I showed you how to alt click and move this? That's what I'm doing right here. So now I kind of have this ugly background, and within this ugly background we're going to fix it up mainly with Postwork, but you'll see it come around. Now I'm going to do something. When I was originally creating this design, I did this next white one first. I'm actually going to use this, and where I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around and make it big. And if you see how I line it up in here, you can see there's like a part here. Oh, I don't know why it disappeared, but I gotta turn it, and I'm having this down here. So I want this, and I'm gonna put it on screen, and I'm gonna do the same exact thing, and I want this to be kind of gone. So then I'm going to go ahead and add in my depth. Once you get the stock in, you're just going to size up until the sides are right, the sides align, and then we're going to want to get this curve in. I want this curve right here to be over top a little bit. So you can check that by turning down the opacity. It is going to be over top a little bit, and I might use this bit right here to come out. So put this on something like screen or linear dodge add, and so we'll go linear dodge add, and you're gonna want to clip mask because we don't want all this at all. We're gonna want to get rid of most of this, not this. I like this part here. We're gonna want to get rid of this. Just start erasing things you don't like. So what we're trying to do is get this mainly visible, this visible, and I want something over top of the logo right here. This is just a little extra bit here. So this is nice. We'll even keep this here. So now that we have this here, I can get rid of this a little bit. So we have what we want mainly showing up, and I want to hide this. So a big thing on how to make things look a little more accurate when it comes to depth is making sure that the lighting is right. So I'm going to be cutting out a little bit here of this part, this white bit, so that it looks like it's coming from behind. And the whole purpose of that is so that I can add a shadow over top. So now that I have this, I'm actually going to select inverse so I can make sure this is all filled in the whole way. I want it to be as white as possible. So that's why I want it to be as white as possible. So now that's all white. Get out here. I can make sure that this is all right. Yeah, I gotta make it smaller. Till a second. Okay. So now all I'm gonna do is go to a new layer, make it black. And I'm gonna draw a little shadow on. I'm just drawing a shadow onto the white bit here. And the way I'm gonna get it to like not be all over the place is I'm going to come here, come here. Just try and encapsulate the whole area. Oh, wait. I'm just gonna do that. So I just inverted the mask by using Control I, and that's how I got it by itself. And now I'm gonna fix this a little bit, make sure the size is on. So that's how it works. And now you see it's a bit dark, and we don't want that. So all you gotta do is turn on this a little bit. So now it looks like it's popping out from under, which is nice. And you can even draw another shadow here over top if you'd like. You can go. See, all you gotta do is draw it like that, and it's nice. But we're not gonna do that for this. I just want to show you guys a little bit of how you get some depth. And that is gonna take a while if you want to do that to make it more accurate lighting. Now it looks like I just put a big mess of things, and it sort of is, but you have to look at it in the way that Postwork solves everything. Postwork is how you get what you want at the final end. So I talked about last time how you don't always want to use a CC, the color correction, and I turn this down, but if I turn it back up, it's very strong. Not always exactly what you're looking for. Some people will just stop here and put this, and it's fine. But for more high quality look, we're gonna turn it down. We'll use it in the end, but we're not gonna use it yet. With Postwork, you want to create a new layer, go to image, and there's an option that says apply image, and this apply image option is how you just combine it merges all your layers into one image. So it's like a PNG that you added on. So now you have image. So now this image you can edit as much as you want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to blur gallery and iris blur first. So this is the first thing I normally do on Postwork. And all that we're trying to do is make the edges of the logo a little bit out of focus. You can choose which sides you want to be out of focus. And that way that your attention is drawn a lot more towards the actual image in the middle. And so it basically focuses down, so you have to look at the logo where it's at. And that just helps a little bit with, if you have a messy outside, it'll help center your focus so you don't notice the outside. So turn that on. Okay, so now that that's there, if you go up here, you'll see iris blur, and it saves your preset. So that's great, because what I'm about to do is I'm going to go Control Z, and I'm going to delete this layer. And we're going to go down here, and it looks a bit chaotic already, and we're going to go Control J on alternate forward. And so we're going to drag this underneath, and I'm going to size up the whole folder. And I got to go back into my folder because I accidentally locked this image so it couldn't move. We're going to turn this off. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this whole folder so it's nice and centered, but also huge. And so now that you have this, you can't see your original anymore. And so you're going to go here and add a hue and saturation, and we're going to just turn down the lightness. By turning down the lightness, it makes it look like it's in the background. Adds another thing in the background. I'm going to turn down the opacity of the folder by a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. Okay, and now that we have that, we can go to the alternate forward. I'm trying to get rid of this area right here. I gotta find out which stock it is. It's this stock. All I'm gonna do, right above it, fill it in with black, turn down the hue and saturation. So I just wanted to match the background here. So now that we have all that in back, we can go ahead, image, apply image, do the same thing we just did. Go here, press iris blur, and that blur will apply. And now that you have the blur and everything set, this is where Camera Raw comes into play. A lot of people use Magic Bullet. I don't use Magic Bullet. I use Camera Raw. It's the built-in color adaptation for Photoshop. So you click Camera Raw, a lot of different options if you've never used it before. I believe I showed how to use it on a previous tutorial, but I'm not 100% certain. A bunch of presets you can use. I have my own presets that I've used for various things. But you can use a preset, which is fine. I sometimes do it too. Like, this would be cool. There's no shame in using a preset. But what I'm going to want to do is go ahead and make my own. So I'll show you how to make your own. So you start down here at the bottom. You can start wherever. I like to start from the bottom, go up. Optics, vignette. This is the black outline. My PSD for Orbit, I added it in already, but I deleted it so that we can do it on our own here. You can add some white, or you can add some dark. I'm going to add some dark. I'm even going to make this slightly pop out. So this distortion just makes things bulge and makes it contract, so I'm going to do -2, which means it pops out a little bit. So it's just a little different than your regular PSD size. But the why I'm doing it is because that one stock image I have right here, the white coming down, it looks a lot more curved now. So then you're done with that. Detail, a big mistake when using Camera Raw is doing sharpening on too much, because people think it'll make it high quality. It does not. You're not going to use much sharpening. If you're going to do any sharpening, I'd do between 0 and 10, just to crisp up the sides. Noise reduction, people use that for more like anime avies and stuff like that, but you can use it if you want to. Noise reduction, color noise reduction, I mean, it's just up to you. It's personal. It doesn't do much. So color grading, you can change how the midtones, like how the different tones are. I'm not going to mess with this right now because this is a little bit more advanced. I'm going to give it a slightly blue tone on the midtone though. So I'll go right here. It's not going to do much, so no need to mess with that if you don't like it. Color mixer, this, don't even look at it. I'll go through it another time. It basically just changes the different saturations and hues and all that you want of different colors. So like I turn the blue up, it turned that. So no need to worry about that. Curve, this is a huge one. Turning the highlights up. This makes the whites white and the different colors brighter. I want that way up. Slightly up on the lights, because that'll turn everything up a little bit brighter, and I'm going to make it darker to contrast it. I'm even going to turn this down a little bit. And then the shadows, I'm just going to keep it right here. So now it looks a little more completed, and you can see the logo a lot better now, but we're not done yet. We got effects still. So this is where, instead of using sharpening, Texture, clarity, and dehaze are huge. So texture, as it makes everything have more texture, as you can see here. See the difference it makes. What I do is I don't normally use texture as much as I use clarity and dehaze. So dehaze, turn it all the way down, it's very blurry. You can make it very sharp like this. I want it slightly blurry on the dehaze bit, but a little up on the clarity, just a tiny bit. And then texture can stay where it's at. And just like that, there's another vignette here, and this will make it as dark as you like. So you can make it focus very much just on the normal logo. But in my opinion, this looks a bit lazy, so maybe slightly more. If anything, I'm not going to do it. So, grain. I love using grain. This is a personal preference. On most of my Avies, I have grain, so I put it up. Not much, 16. So, gets rid of small imperfections. And then here you can add it with the exposure, turn up a tiny bit, contrast, all that stuff. So I'm going to leave this as it is. And so that's all the camera roll that you're going to do for now. And we're like halfway there now. All you're going to do now is duplicate this layer, this newly created layer. And a trick that I learned, and I think I showed in the thumbnail tutorial, is if I go to Gaussian blur on this new layer, and I made it 1.5 for this, and I go lighten, it adds blur, and this blurs out imperfections too. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to look at this. I'm going to bring it all the way down to just where it's starting to blur, but where it's not necessarily blurred. So on the original one, I believe I made this 66%, yeah, and I got 64 on here. So you can see, and you can then take this and color out any part of it that you don't want, but I want it pretty much everywhere, so I'll leave it at this. Now what I'm going to do is add a particle effect. So there's things in front, and I want to add more in front to add more depth. So a lot of particle effects you can find on Pinterest. So if you can find this, but there's not a lot of good high quality ones, so I'm going to make my own. I'm going to show you how to make your own. We're going to make it like these. So I'll copy and paste these in here just to show you. And all we're going to do to make these is really simple. All you need is a brush tool. So I'll make these blank. Go to brush tool, make sure it's white. Go really small, and then all you're gonna do is just start clicking around randomly. That's all you're gonna do. Start clicking, and then make it slightly bigger. Turn up the hardness. Turn down the hardness, make it bigger. And then turn it up one more time, make it really big, 0. And find a good spot to put like one big one. So I think I put one like there, and then I made it really big, and I turned down the opacity. So, because realistically speaking, as the light gets closer, like as you get closer to something, it focuses out. And so the closer things are, and they're gonna be bigger, and they're also gonna be less in focus. So we're gonna just make it so that it looks that accurate. This is some accurate lighting. So now to make it match what we did previously with our Avi, all the stuff that you've done will be saved up in here. So all I'm gonna do is add the iris blur to it again, and then add the camera raw filter, and it's gonna match the same colors I've done, the same everything. And so that's gonna be great. And then from there, you're pretty much done. You can end it whenever you'd like. But I did add the basic CC that I had previously onto here, and I made it a little bit more visible. So that's pretty much all I did to make that Avi for the tutorial. The background was easy. Background and foreground are very important though in adding depth, and your new image. And just to add a little bit more of color to it, camera raw, I skipped over it before, but you can go to vibrance and turn up the vibrance. Now a big misconception is that saturation will do the same thing. it will, but it'll also cook. It'll fry your colors. So I like to stick with vibrance as it doesn't fry it as much. So I'll turn up vibrance a little bit to give it more of a blue tint. So now everything is more blue and we have a little more color in it. And this matches more with this. So that'll be it for this one.